This one's for you. Yeah, you. The one who's always felt a little out of step, like you're hearing a song that nobody else is dancing to. If you've ever been called intense or eccentric or just plain weird, well, you've just found the right place.
I mean, let's just be honest. That's really the heart of it, isn't it? It's like society just doesn't have a box that fits you, so it slaps some label on the outside and hopes for the best. But what if that's not a bad thing? What if that's actually an invitation? Let's go ahead and step inside and see what's really going on in that mind of yours.
Okay, so first things first, we gotta bust a major myth. We've all seen the movies, right? The cool, quiet hero who rides off into the sunset. But the reality? It's a lot messier. It's a mind that just will not shut off. It's staring into the void a little too often. And honestly, it's a journey that usually goes through a whole lot of darkness before you find any light.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute core of the whole thing. See, society's got this nice, tidy version of sanity all packaged up for you. But there's a price, and that price is fitting in. For the outsider, that's not just a high price to pay. It's a fate worse than death. It's just so boring.
So where's a path like this even begin? Well, it starts with a really important truth. Outsiders aren't born. They're made. They're forged by experiences, usually pretty early on, that teach them to walk a little ways apart from the crowd.
And it doesn't happen all at once. It's more of a slow burn. It kicks off with that quiet, nagging feeling that you're just not on the same wavelength as everyone else. Then that feeling gets confirmed, over and over, through misunderstandings or outright rejection, and you start to build this wall of mistrust, brick by painful brick, until you come to a conclusion that seems perfectly logical. It is just safer to go it alone.
But here's the crazy part. This is where the alchemy happens. That early pain, that isolation, it isn't just a wound, it's a forge. The very solitude that hurt you becomes the fire that creates your greatest superpowers. Your intuition gets razor sharp because you had to learn how to read a room. And your authenticity, it becomes completely non-negotiable because you've learned that trying to be fake is just exhausting.
Which brings us to this huge paradox, this constant tug of war at the center of the outsider's life, this battle between the absolute freedom you fought for and the deep human connection you secretly crave.
And you can totally see why, right? That feeling of answering to nobody, of living completely by your own rules, man, it's intoxicating. Being radically self-sufficient feels incredible. It's freedom from judgment, freedom from having to meet anyone else's expectations.
But, and this is the big but, therein lies the trap. That fortress you built so carefully to protect yourself, sooner or later, it starts to feel like a prison. The walls you built to keep others out end up locking you in, cutting you off from the very thing we all need as humans, connection.
And this is why it feels so impossible to break out. The core fear isn't just about getting hurt again. It's so much deeper than that. The real terror is that if you let someone in, if you risk depending on them, you'll lose the very identity that you bled to create. It feels like a risk of total annihilation.
So if the only way out isn't out, then it has to be in. It's time to turn around and face what's been living in that fortress with you. And let me tell you, this is where the real war begins.
The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung called this the shadow. It's basically all the parts of ourselves that we push down, we deny, we pretend aren't there. And in the echo chamber of solitude, with no one around to call you on your stuff, the shadow doesn't just hang around. Oh no, it grows.
See, the shadow doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It feeds you these little lies that sound just like your own logical thoughts. You're better off alone. They're just going to let you down anyway. It's the ultimate self-sabotage, and it does it all disguised as self-protection.
And that's why you can't win this war by fighting. The goal is not to destroy these parts of yourself. It's to integrate them. It's about looking them square in the eye with brutal honesty. And when you do that, something amazing happens. That rage you've been burying, that can be transformed into pure courage. That envy, it becomes a compass pointing directly to what you truly want.
Okay, so let's talk about the so-called gift of the outsider. That unique vision, that originality that people romanticize. Well, that gift doesn't come for free. It comes with a pretty heavy price tag. On the one hand, when you step away from the noise, you finally hear your own signal. You see connections everyone else misses. It's incredible. The danger, though, is that with no one to bounce ideas off of, your mind can become a perfect echo chamber, and there's a very fine line between a brilliant idea and a full-blown delusion.
This quote just hits so hard because it's so true.
Your ability to see through all the nonsense, all the social games, it's a kind of curse. Your vision doesn't just give you insight. It actually makes you more isolated because you're playing a completely different game than everyone else.
So what happens when all the illusions just crumble? When the rules and the scripts society handed you just don't make sense anymore? Well, you arrive at the final, and maybe the most intimidating part of the journey.
With all of society's road signs gone, you find yourself in this huge, empty space. And at first, it's not liberating. It's just terrifying. This is what you could call the existential desert. And out here, you learn a hard lesson. Meaning isn't something you go out and find. It's something you have to build with your own two hands.
And after all of it, the isolation, the inner battles, the painful clarity, you finally get it. The whole point of this entire grueling journey, it was never, ever about trying to belong.
It was about becoming who you were supposed to be all along. It was about stripping away everything that wasn't you, until only the real you was left.
And that realization, that's not the end. That's the real beginning. That's the turning point where you finally shift gears from just trying to survive to consciously deciding what you want to create. You've walked through the fire, you've faced your own shadows, and you're still standing. And that vision, that intense clarity that used to feel like such a curse, it's not a burden anymore. It's your compass. It's what guides you now. So, the fundamental question of your life completely changes. It's no longer that desperate, quiet plea of where do I belong? Nope, that question is gone. It's replaced by a statement of power. Now, the only question that matters is, what will I build?